the next step of the project?
Well, I'm just finishing the animation. Well, I've got quite a bit of animation to do, to be honest. I haven't finished it. She's a very positive character. So I think every animator actually animates themselves. So it might be a positive aspect of myself. So the idea for the film story started when both my daughters are artists, and as they get older they started to get quite a lot of compliments about their artwork, whereas I suppose I'd been the one that had the compliments about my artwork. And I mean, I still get compliments, but at the time it was a sudden sort of realisation that I was being replaced, or I'd replicated sort of part of myself unknowingly. But that was the beginning, but it's become a bit more than that, really. This has grown from that idea. But she's definitely taken on her own character. So, but she's also, when I pick her up and animate her, she just takes on a life of her own. I'm not really sure what she's going to do next, if you see what I mean. So she's kind of alive outside of me, if that makes sense. So working with the, why I prefer to work with cutout animation rather than computer is that, yes, it's really fiddly, but it looks so much better than computer animation. It looks just far too controlled. And I feel that with doing it like this, it's kind of got a life of its own. So if you move one bit like that, and then it sort of it'll move the rest of it. And it's kind of like, it might not be technically correct, but it gives it a much more life. That's sort of, that's not quite what I want. I'm going to change some of the frames here and see what I can come up with, and if I need to add anything else. It's not quite right, no, but like I said, I'm going to fiddle about with it and see what I can do.
So this film essentially stems from your experiences as a mother?
I think it does actually stem from my experience as a mother. We have these desires to mate, and we don't really consciously have any control over that. The body knew how to give birth, the body knew how to feed the infant, and this nature just protecting this newborn. It's an interesting experience. But also that it's a cycle. That's the most important as well, that we are part of a cycle.
So what's been your technical process?
I don't like technology, so I've avoided it as far as I can. And it's cutout animation. It's basically, you put ink on paper and you put liquid paraffin on it, and it makes it see-through, and then you backlight it so you've got like a really vibrant colour. And then I just literally animate it under the camera and then put it together in After Effects. But I kind of had to teach myself to After Effects quite a bit, because I really didn't want to use it. I hated it, and now I really like it, because I've taught myself it over the last year. And as you see, as the film progresses, probably technically it gets better.
What are you doing?
So just using After Effects to layer the animation. So the cutout stuff that I did at the studio, like these little ant creatures, I've just done on like black card. So I'm just putting them back together with the background. So they're all kind of in different layers in After Effects. It's a bit like Photoshop, really. It's like a moving Photoshop, After Effects. So I'm just kind of using it as a tool to sort of layer up the animation. So you can change size, background, you can change everything, really. It's really interesting, it's really creative. So it just takes a long time, like everything in animation. It's a tiny bit of sand animation in it, but it's mainly drawn in sand, the backgrounds, and then taken as a still and then coloured in Photoshop. So that's how the backgrounds are done, the trees and the flowers and stuff are drawn, and the little creatures, the ant-like creatures, they're just literally black card cut out. I think my hedgehog's in here. So that's my hedgehog. Oh, he's got something stuck in him. That's a frog leg. That's my hedgehog. That's all he is, really. And he's got a little couple of paws and some eyeballs, and that's all he is. It's quite intuitive way of working and a little bit spontaneous. That's kind of how I work, really, just hands-on stuff.
Sorry, yeah. Give me the finger. Yeah. So it could be.
It's quite haunting, isn't it?
I like that. So, can you tell me what the challenges might be on this film?
Well, it's a complex operation because, as you know, as with most animation, you're starting from nothing. But in this one particularly, you don't have a narration as such to describe it. So we're trying to describe the whole film with sounds. What's it sound like with the music in there?
Exactly. And can we put a little buzz on it, like the bee?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's looking good.
Yeah. And I'm going to change the pitch just to see if we can differentiate between a male wave and a female wave.
Okay.
So whether it'll work or not, but it's worth experimenting. Change the
Yeah,
pitch.
I think she's definitely feminine. He's masculine. So even more exaggerated,
More
actually. Yeah.
exaggerated. Okay. Let's try that.
Yeah, it's almost like a little communication, isn't it?
Certainly with a drama, you're trying to create reality. With animation, you're trying to create anything other than reality. Sounds larger than life, smaller than life. In fact, sounds that you wouldn't necessarily, a fly sound, particularly on this, or a wasp sound, we're having to pitch change them to make them sound slightly more abnormal. The more abnormal they are, the funnier they become. General real world sounds can be added, but I think in general it's the zips and zaps and cartoony effects and things like that which really do make people smile at least. So our challenge here really is to create that soundscape with unnatural sounding sounds.
It's working.
bad.
It's getting there, isn't it?
Isn't it? That's
Yeah.
not bad at all.